Could having your own internet talk show increase your visibility?
Hey, Chris, welcome to, our introduction to the Expert Showcase. What are we talking about in this episode? I mean, visibility, right?
Exactly. As a coach or consultant, the key to your success is being visible to your ideal client.
And we love to keep it down to 3 takeaway points here, Chris. So give people the rundown. What are the 3 takeaways that we're going to hit in this segment?
Exactly. So to increase your visibility, you first have to target your audience. You second have to deliver immense value. And then third, give, or as I like to say, give until it hurts.
All right, man. Let's take it from the top then. So having your own talk show, or like we're doing with Expert Showcase, I mean, how does that help you target your audience? How does it help you do what we always advise people to do, which is drill down to figure out who your ideal client is?
Well, you've hit the nail on the head there, Mark. I mean, because when you're preparing to do an internet talk show, it's a little bit different than preparing to do other things. And the reason I say that is because you have to dig a little bit deeper to figure out a little bit more about your ideal client, at least at the beginning, because there are so many different ways to reach them that you want to make sure that you go in as laser focused as possible, and that you're doing what's called spear fishing and not net fishing. I mean, through Expert Showcase, we've done a lot of work with clients that, a lot of it hasn't been seen. By the time people see this, they might have seen it, but a lot of it hasn't been seen yet because it's still in the background. But the thing that we've seen, and I think you could agree with me on this, is that the people who created the most effective content are the ones that really understand their target client, their ideal audience, and have really honed in on it so they can laser focus and speak to them, right?
Absolutely. And look, I mean, let's be completely honest here and transparent. I mean, Expert Showcase is a demonstration project for you to follow. I mean, we do it to focus on our audience, you, coaches and consultants who have a high level of expertise. If you had your show, it would help you focus on your ideal audience of who you deliver great content to, and publishing that content week after week is what gives you that visibility, right, Chris?
Exactly. And it's it's funny, I couldn't have said it better myself. So I guess I won't say it any better myself.
Right. So, as we move on to point number 2 here, I mean, just to recap that first one, it's all about publishing content, but, there's so many ways that people do that. Having a talk show forces you to do that, gives people a rhythm, a schedule. It's going to give you that visibility. So let's talk about value, though, because that's the content, right? That's what you're putting in each episode that you're going to create. It's what we're trying to create in every episode of Expert Showcase, right?
Exactly. So once you've identified your ideal target audience, your ideal client, and it's funny, I got to take a aside. I almost hate saying ideal target audience because it kind of makes me think that we're at a shooting range or something like that, and you got this arrow.
But we have to aim, right? We have to aim our content to somebody. It doesn't have to be hostile, but
Exactly, and that's what I was going to say, is the fact that once you've identified your target audience, you then have to deliver immense value, and it's easier to deliver value when you know what they're looking for. So if you're a coach or consultant who's targeting, let's say, attorneys, and like one of our clients, this Robert Graff does training for trial, and he knows that he is out there as an attorney and as a consultant and training other attorneys on how to be better at trial. That's very specific, and it's very easy to create content. I guess that's the point I'm trying to get to here, Mark, is the fact that it's easier to create content and to give immense value when you already understand and you have targeted your ideal client, because then you know how they speak, you know what language is going to resonate with them, you know whether whether or not you'll be able to say things like talking about the universe and very ethereal things, if that's going to resonate, or if you need to be a cold hard facts type of host.
Absolutely, and bottom line, Chris, I mean, if you know your audience, then you know the problems that your audience has, and you can formulate your content around helping them get the real solution to that content. So that's the beautiful thing about doing it, and this talk show format just kind of makes it less like going back to school and getting a lecture. I mean, you learn through the conversation between you as the expert guest and the host of the show, kind of thing. So, anything else about that one before we segue on to point number 3 here?
Yeah, I was going to say exactly. And while it's not part of the key to success, you hit the nail on the head that we're going to talk about, I'm sure, in one of the 4-part series that we're doing about this, which is why an internet talk show helps you build trust, and also why it's easier to be on an internet talk show, whether you're the guest or eventually progressing your way into hosting your own show, because it turns it from, a lecture into a conversation. Nobody likes to be lectured. I mean, we might like monologues every now and then, and goodness knows I love the talk, but nobody likes to be lectured. They like to sit and listen to a good speech every now and then, but nobody likes to be lectured, and that's the beautiful part about the internet talk show, is it turns it into a conversation. So you hit a great point, and like I said, I'm not sure which video, but I'm quite sure we'll cover that in one of the next
we absolutely
are.
But you raise a good point, Chris, because I neglected to even say that at the beginning of this episode, that this is part of a 4-part series. So stay tuned and just tuck that in the back of your mind. We'll get back to that in just a second. So let's move on to number 3 here, Chris. I mean, give till it hurts. Invite people to additional resources. I've got some ideas about that, but you give me your ideas, and then I'll piggyback off that.
Sure, sounds great. Whether you like the guy or not, there's a guy out there, Gary Vaynerchuk, who really has hit on something in a way of doing things, and I believe it's the best way of getting new clients, which is you try to give them everything you can, and then eventually they will learn to trust you. Gee, I think that might be later on, like maybe part 4 of this series, so
exactly.
We can talk about later. But the whole point is that when you create an internet talk show and you're out there giving content and you're giving people solutions to real-world problems on a daily basis, what you are doing is implanting in their mind and seeding in their mind that you are the go-to person for that particular problem, so that when they have that problem and they get to a point where they can't completely solve that problem, they look to you and they search for you instead of searching for everybody else. So, the fact of it is there's so much content out there. There's so much noise out there that the people who are rising above the noise are not only the people who are having internet talk shows like Expert Showcase or like your own talk show, but are the ones that are always doing everything they can to give value during that talk show.
Absolutely. So what I would add to that, though, is just that the format of having a talk show is such a great way to create content, because you've got that rhythm of a weekly episodes or whatever schedule you're on, and you're giving great value in each one of these episodes. But let's face it, you're trying to speak to individual members of your ideal audience, and you don't know them yet. You don't know their specific situation, so you do your darndest to deliver great value, but it's always going to be at a sort of general level. And what I always love about this format for coaches and consultants is that the quote-unquote sales pitch is so low-key and easy and logical, which is, hey, look, I've given you as much value as I can in here, but I don't know your specific circumstance, so here's my phone number, here's my email, here's my website. Connect with me, and I'd be happy to talk to you about how this really fits your unique situation. So that's the other thing about inviting people to additional resources. It's not really a sales pitch. It's like, hey, I've got more help for you if you just kind of follow the call to action.
Exactly. One more thing I want to bring up. I want to give you a real-world example of somebody in the standard, I'll say, television space who's using this formula and this method. Mark, you and I talk about this all the time. It's that D News from the Discovery Channel, the actual Discovery Channel.
Which I'm going to watch one of these days. You keep telling me to watch it. I'm going to watch it one of these days.
Exactly. The beautiful part is they come on, they do exactly what we do and what we teach our clients, what we do in the Expert Showcase, which is a catchy opening line, a little bit of show branding, and then 2 to 5 minutes. They do shorter segments, about 4 or 5 a day, that give you great value. And all they ask you to do is say, hey, if you've got more, or if you want to hear more, go down below, follow us on Twitter, follow us on here, and by the way, check us out again tomorrow. They throw some ads in every now and then, but it's extremely powerful because they're giving, and they're not asking anything monetarily. They're asking for maybe an email address, or they're asking you to leave content. So give, and then the best part is eventually you get to the point where you say, look, I've given you everything. We trust each other. Module number 4, wait for it to come later. Come on back, and now let's see if we can create a relationship. So we'll talk about trust. I'm going off on a tangent. I'm going to wrap myself back up here because
and here's what we're going to do right now, Chris. We're going to show you what this looks like. We're going to do it right now because it's what we do. So, listen, Chris opened this segment with a question for you. Would having your own online talk show help you increase your visibility, start building visibility? The answer is obviously yes, and we've covered three main things, and I'll just recap here. You got to target your audience, which helps you get visibility to the right people. You're going to deliver value because you have to create the content that's in each episode, and you're going to build it around actually helping people solve problems, and you're going to give through that content, and then you're going to invite people to an additional resource. Guess what I'm going to do right now, Chris? I'm going to invite our viewer to an additional resources, which is, hey, if you want to know what this feels like to be on a talk show, to kind of have your own talk show, there's an absolutely no-risk way to do it. It's called our show. It's called the Experts Showcase. Now, there is an application, so come on over to expertshowcase.com. Click the apply button. You can watch the little examples there and see some of the content there, but click the apply button and fill out the quick little application there. We will get right back to you and let you know if you fit the parameters to be our next expert on the showcase of coaches and consultants, and you will get a lot of thank you gifts from us. We'll give you the segment, and we'll actually coach you on how to promote that segment to build your business. So come on over to expertshowcase.com right now, and remember, this is part one of a 4-part series, so stay tuned for more. Chris, what you said.
Yeah. What he said. We'll see on the inside.